I'm Pamela Portnoy, and no one's okay. Lovely. Welcome back to No One's Okay. I am back. Today's guests are the authors of Pouring with Heart, the essential magic behind the bartenders we love, Cedd Moses and Erik Cardona. Cedd Moses has launched and revitalized 25 bars in 3 states, including Cole's, The Varnish, The Golden Gopher, and my personal favorite, 7 Grand Los Angeles. Erik Cardona is a writer whose recent co-writing venture, Lost and Found, starring Jason Patric, Carrie Ewells. Did I pronounce Ewells right? Elways.
No one ever gets that right, except for Carrie. But.
All right. Thank you for correcting me. That's really good to know because I love his work. Perfect. Elways and Benjamin Stockham, which earned distribution via Sony and Walmart, along with a theatrical release with AMC Theaters. And you recently completed a novel called Fool Me Once. But we are here to talk about Pouring with Heart. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys.
We're honored to be here.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Really
amazing. I think that was the longest intro I've done so far.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
and this is the first time I'm interviewing 2 people at the same time. So
Wow. We'll be easy on you.
I have half a brain and Cedd has half, so together we should be pretty direct.
We'll be all right.
I think it's going to be a really, really cool episode. And I read your book and it's fantastic. And I want to start off, if it's all right with you, by kind of asking you how you guys know each other and what each of your journeys has been like thus far.
Journey in terms of writing the book or just journeys in life?
We'll start with journeys in life and we'll go from there. Whatever. And feel free to share as much or as little as you want.
All right. Well, why don't you kick it off, Cardona?
Yeah.
Before you start, Erik,
Sure.
Can we cheers, guys?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. I think it's very appropriate we have a cheers for this episode.
Absolutely. Cheers.
All right, Erik, take it away.
If you can't drink while celebrating a book about bartenders and the bar world, when can you drink?
Exactly.
I think we're on the right track. Yeah, I mean, I've just always been kind of a journeyman that has been drawn to people that sort of needed, assistance, needed help or support or something like that. It's just come very natural to me. And then kind of professionally speaking, I've been very good with people and I've been very good with the pen. And sometimes those come together, but often in different elements or different segments of my life. Recently, kind of all those things kind of came together. It was a perfect storm where Cedd was looking for a little bit of support. It was a book whose philosophy was very true to my nature with people and, some experience that I had had in the service industry. And lastly, I was able to kind of take out the pen and work on that a little bit. So it was a perfect storm for me when Cedd came knocking on my door.
Amazing.
All right. Thanks, brother. We're brothers at this point, from working together on this book and just it's our philosophy and our bar family too. So Erik was part of the bar family that I created a while ago. So my background, I grew up. I was born in Virginia, at kind of a hospitality family out there, learning how to serve cocktails at an early age. 5 years old.
And who was teaching you?
My grandma.
Really?
Who loved her Wixie and loved to make mint juleps. Showed me how to make mint juleps for her friends when I was 4 and got the honor of serving at 5 years old.
Wow.
Until the first fireflies came out. First fireflies, mint julep cups go down. And then from that you're not allowed to touch your mint julep cup once fireflies come out because that means the sun's setting.
Right.
And it's bourbon and branch water from then on.
Branch water.
Yeah,
For
branch
those
water.
of us who are unfamiliar with branch water, what is branch water?
Branch water is what they call the water flowing into Bristol, where I'm from, Bristol, Virginia, over the mountains through the tributaries that go over natural limestone. So it picks up this natural salinity to the water, which
Wow.
goes perfect with bourbon. A little sweet and salty. elements. But my grandmother called it branch water because if you look at the tributaries of the rivers flowing into Virginia, it looks like branches on a map. So they call it branch water.
Oh, that's kind of beautiful and amazing. It adds kind of that
Right.
savory kick, I
Right.
suppose.
We've been trying to bottle it for years, but everyone thought we were crazy out in Virginia when we wanted to bottle their tap water.
And so it didn't work out. That's so funny.
But yeah, so I grew up in that, but I was really grew up in this crazy artistic family, but I was really good with numbers and got sidetracked for a little while with my career and went into finance and was really successful with it, but ultimately felt kind of spiritually bankrupt in that business because everyone's about money. And landed back, had a love for bars, and just took a wild flyer to open my own bar, and I fell in love with the business and the misfits, which I consider myself a misfit,
Heck yes.
and the wonderful creative people that are in the business that are such giving, amazing, creative people. So now I've dedicated my life to creating careers for those folks and creating some great bars and spreading the love across the country.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You're,
Thank you so much.
As I mentioned before the camera started rolling, like your passion just really jumps for bars, really jumps off the page. And it's funny. It's not funny. It's when you were talking about how you were working in finance, that's what made you feel spiritually bankrupt. And I feel like a lot of people have misconceptions about bars and the atmosphere, and they associate kind of spiritually bankrupt with that. What would you say to someone that thinks that way?
I think I don't know if we can swear on this show.
You absolutely can swear on it. What do you fucking think about them?
Well, spoiler alert, you swear in the book, so...
Yeah. Well, I say go fuck yourself a few times to those type of people that don't get it. Because bars are all about camaraderie with where everyone's welcome and everyone's accepted for being themselves. And it's been that since the beginning of this country and a lot of other countries, and it represents that place. I think that we all can get away from our day-to-day job, that true third place in our life that's where sometimes it's hard to be yourself at most jobs in the United States now. And sometimes at home, you need a little refuge to get out of the house and go lighten up the mood and have a good time. So bars kind of represent that third place, and they've represented that place for community in this country since the beginning of this country, since the founding of the United States. It was George Washington's local hang was hanging out in bars and touring the country and taverns running for president. And he ended up celebrating with a wild 2-day bender for 2 days after he won as president, $500,000 bar tab in today's money.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this country's was really founded in bars, and so people that don't respect what bars represent in society to the community in this country is kind of missing out on all the fun.
Absolutely. I learned from your guys' book that pub means public house. I didn't know that before, and it feels like so obvious, but I enjoyed learning that. I love a good pub.
Good. I'm glad you said that. There is like this misnomer that you talked about, and if you have a hard day and you say, had a hard day, I'm going to go to the bar, people kind of look at you a certain way. Oh, what do you do for work? Well, I'm a bartender. Oh, they kind of look at you a certain way. What business are you getting into? Oh, I'm going to open a bar. They give you a look. Can we all just admit we like bars? Like
yes.
You're there 5 times a week, okay? You have some of the most honest conversations. You talk to your bartender in a way that you don't talk to your priest, the way that you don't talk to your spouse, the way you don't talk to your children. And you do it confidently and comfortably, and you do it again the next day.
Yes.
And yet, for some reason, when we're not bellied up, there's this social stigma or misnomer. And it doesn't take much, but just illuminating what it is we all really love about it. And that's one of my favorite parts about the book, and what I was drawn to with Cedd's pitch to me when we first started discussing it, was that there is a beautiful underbelly to this business, as opposed to what people think might be a more,
Seedy.
yeah. I mean, well, CD's kind of cool, but
It's
but
kind of a great
We
word,
all like
actually.
dive bars too.
Oh, I
They're a lot of
love dive
yeah, we
bars.
do.
but to Sed's point about the camaraderie and the togetherness and the trust and the support and the loyalty and the love and the celebration and the cheers and the tears. I mean, name another institution that covers that, you know, well-rounded, just amount of humanity, you know?
It's like an answer to a lot of problems that go on in life. Like if I'm having the worst day, I'll call up my closest friends and I'll be like, let's go to the bar. If I'm celebrating something, let's go to the bar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that place. It's there for you, and that's the beauty of bartenders and what bars and represent in community. I feel, and we're so glad you like the book and you love bars too.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
us
yeah, yeah. Helps.
mo-
Helps us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so this book is really meant to be kind of a love affair and a love letter to what bars represent in culture and what great bartenders represent and kind of the path to become a legendary bartender yourself. If you have interest, if you ever want to be a bartender, let us know, Pamela.
I will
we'll set you on the
absolutely let
right
you
path.
know.
You'd be great.
Oh, thank you. That's such a compliment, especially after reading your book and seeing how like highly you guys speak of, you know, the profession and the in the industry. That's so wonderful. Thank you. So
Right.
how did this collaboration start?
Well, I was fortunate because I spent 2 years writing this book, and I'm not a professional writer. I could barely write a book report in high school, but it was like a passion project for me to get on the page. Um, you know, some of this love for bars and what they represent in culture, and also hopefully help a lot of people in the industry. This was before the pandemic. Kind of get through and go to the next level and create a successful career in the bar business. So, but fortunately, Erik was available. I hit him up and a few other people that were writers as well to help me finish the book. And Erik was a great legendary bartender at 7 Grand, one of your favorites.
Yep.
And a buddy, and fortunately I hit him up and he was available, and he kind of jumped at the chance to work with me on the book. So what's your take, Erik?
Yeah, my take, says that he's not a writer, and I'm sure there was a time he had a hard time with book reports, but he has become an incredible writer over at least this process and what I've been able to see on day to day. One of our first conversations was, writing is not typing the letters into the Microsoft document and then, sending it out there. Writing is the conversations that we have back and forth. It's being out and understanding and thinking about it. It's being in the shower, or the 2 minutes right when you fall asleep, or when you wake up and you're hit with those great ideas. All that stuff is writing. And it was a really fun experience for me to be able to share that with Cedd and kind of open that side of writing up for him. And for me, it was like very validating, because I've always kind of felt that was true. But until you kind of put it into practice, sometimes you can even doubt your own thoughts. And when Cedd heard that, he like took to that, like, whatever the cliche is, he took to it like
of some sort.
something to fish to water, if you will. And Cedd Moses to bourbon, whatever it is, he took to it.
There you go.
Is that your
The
drink of
Wixie.
choice?
I think mezcal or whiskey is my first choice. It's kind of a tie right now.
Ooh, interesting. I'm sure it shifts over time. Maybe
Oh,
your
yeah.
favorites. You don't have like
Also,
a go-to.
the weather. If it's hot and humid, I love.
Once the fireflies come out.
Yeah. Well, when it's really hot and humid, I want rum. But I do like an afternoon mint julep in the summer. So
That's
thanks,
so
Grandma.
tasty.
Yeah.
So the writing process was very in sync very quickly and early, because it was the first 3 months was just me asking him questions after questions after questions after questions. And I think there was at one point, we're probably 3 months in, he's like, So when do we start chapter 1?
Oh, we already had a book,
Yeah, I mean, we had Cedd's initial manuscript,
but
but
he
it's
dove in deeper. He asked me some really tough questions, and I exposed some things about myself that I didn't think I was going to talk about. But it makes the book better.
That's wonderful. Is there something that comes to mind in particular when you say that?
Um, I just think some of, you know, we all have weaknesses and strengths, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I kind of exposed some of my weaknesses. I'm not particularly a good public speaker, but I'm better one-on-one, especially with somebody like you. So
Oh, thank you. I think
yeah,
you're doing
yeah.
amazingly.
But if we were speaking in front of a big crowd right now, I'm just not good. I don't know why. I can't focus when I'm one-on-one. I'm good, but big crowds, I don't know.
It's really
Just
easy to get in your head.
lose my shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an actor, so you're probably damn good at it.
It's funny you say that because I feel like I'm an actor because I choose to like dive into somebody else's life and someone else's experience. I'm avoiding being myself. And so actually it's so funny. One of my biggest fears is public speaking. It's heights and public speaking. And so I'm leaning into that and I'm actually taking a stand-up comedy course right now so I can kind of try to get over that fear. But yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
you
For
should.
me, it's a big fear. I'm terrible at it, and I get asked to do it all the time. So,
Yeah, I was pretty surprised when he told me that that was kind of a thing for him, because I imagine he does a lot of speaking engagements, and then I was like, you're gonna do more if you write a book.
You'd
So
have to, don't you? Do you have to do like a lot of pitches in your line of work? I mean, you've opened up so many bars.
well, I'm good on the one-on-one stuff.
Yeah,
So I'm good at one-on-one, and I believe in what we do. So that's not pitching. That's just espousing my love for what I'm doing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
At 7 grand, which bar did you work at? Did you work in the speakeasy or in the main bar?
bar Jackalope, yeah, yeah. Actually,
Amazing. I was just there before. I was there for before the pandemic, and it's so beautiful sitting out on that patio. My friends brought their cigars. It's amazing.
that makes my heart very happy. I mean, Cedd gave us the green light, but there was a core group of individuals that sort of, um, we were the pioneers for that back bar, and the culture and the environment and what it was supposed to look like and feel like, and together.
Japan.
Yeah, there's a great story about Japan and how the philosophies that our team learned from Japan on a trip to Japan, where customer service is just on an entirely different level. And if there are 6 seats in the bar, there are 6 seats in the bar, and the bar is full. There's not this like turn and burn, butts in the seats philosophy. It's about the experience in this. Well, it's in the book. This concept of
Ichigo Ichie.
Ichigo, which is this concept of like you have this one moment in time and it will never happen again. So own it, live it to its fullest.
Yeah, this moment right now, it will never happen exactly the same way again. So you have to honor that and do your best to bring it to the next level each moment
How do you do that?
with incredible service, incredible giving to the person across from you.
Can you explain the concept of pouring with heart?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just wrote a book about it. We better be able to. Yeah, well,
I think you were touching on that already. but-
Ichigo Ichie is kind of a big example in the book that we use of that. Like the Japanese have perfected the art of service and being there for the person directly in front of them, putting what we define pouring with heart as putting your heart and soul into being of service to the person directly across from you, and driving more than the alcohol we're drinking right now is dopamine in our system. It's we're getting a little buzz of dopamine, but actual human interaction and a real connection drives something that's much stronger, which is serotonin, which is a much stronger chemical that brings more real happiness in your life versus dopamine, which is very temporary. You can get from sugar and McDonald's, and a lot of businesses now are trying to drive dopamine in our system. Social media, Facebook. Yeah. we're not going to get into all that. But
But serotonin is stronger, and it goes back to our grassroots as human beings when we didn't have a lot of protection and we were more nomadic, but we lived in groups and groups for protection. And so the concept that for me is very exciting about serotonin and how it works in a bar is serotonin happens to be contagious, even though it's something that happens, interchemically, if that's the correct verbiage, in your own mind. If you are the recipient of a good deed, a good connection, it makes you feel a certain way, makes me feel a certain way. Both of our brains release that serotonin. But the crazy thing is, if Cedd watches it, if he observes it, if he sees it, just by watching it, serotonin is released in his brain. So it makes him kind of want to pay it forward. And that's how we survived over time. That's how we were able to kind of get along with each other and protect each other and have that group mentality. And it happens like by the minute inside of bars.
yeah, every minute. Yeah, so if I'm serving, for example, doing an amazing job serving you, you get serotonin, but I get a kick of serotonin as well. And that's the beautiful thing. And that's the great interaction that can happen in a bar experience.
And the person next to you says, you know what, I kind of like this bar. And they don't even know why. And guess what? That person comes back. So, to another part of Cedd's business success, it works. Those people that are getting those serotonin releases because the bartender was pouring with heart, that it spreads throughout the bar. And there's a reason why people say $7,000 and their face lights up, because they've been pouring with heart since 2000.
Yeah.
We just had a 15-year anniversary, right?
15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And now we've spread the love to a couple other states. We're in Austin with that bar. San Diego's been with us for a while now, and Denver is our latest. So, yeah, we've been really successful with that brand. So, but we want to drive serotonin. Yeah, we want to drive the love, that chemical that's kind of that makes us all feel so great, and it's that feeling of camaraderie and magic in the room and between two people, but can also drive a whole room and make a whole room come alive and feel great.
I imagine that you guys are stellar at observing human behavior and kind of understanding people interacting. I feel like you have to be when you work at a bar for a really long time.
In terms of bar experiences, I'm pretty attuned to it, but it sounds like you are too.
I try to be, and I feel like what definitely helped me with a lot of acting and opportunities that I've had in the industry and the entertainment industry was when I was like serving tables and serving drinks in the service industry. Because you can pick up really quick on someone's energy and whether, you can give them your spiel or they're like, no, they probably just want to be left alone. It's kind of, you really got to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the most pouring with heart you can do, if you're reading the room and you're reading the energy, is to leave that person the fuck alone. And that's what's going to get them to come back, because they're going to go like, I was having a day. I wanted to drink. You gave me space. You respected me. And then they're like, I really like this place. And they don't even know why, but it's because you showed them that sort of respect. You gave them their space. You read the room and you did the things that are not that difficult to do. Like good bartenders are not mind readers. They're just paying attention.
Yeah, we all have a superpower within us as human beings to be able to have empathy for other people and to be able to read them to some extent. Their body language, just asking a few questions and be able to really understand what their expectations and what they're looking for. And that's important for anybody in the service industry, but really important for bartenders in our mind. They shouldn't be robots. They're not just there to, they're going to get replaced by robots unless they truly are empathetic and there to take care of you and be of service.
That really stuck out to me when I was reading your book. You're like, I will never put a robot in charge of any form of service in any of my establishments. You're super passionate about the human experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. No no computer, Amazon, Alexa, or any of these services.
Alexa, yeah. You can't even say her name
Alexa,
right. That's
exactly. Fuck that, right? Yeah, it can never replace true human interaction and never put themselves completely in our shoes as human beings.
Right.
So how can they really give real service and authentic service? And
I should cover the speakerphone of my phone in case she hears me talking bad things about Siri. She's going to turn against me tonight when I get home.
Exactly.
What was the publishing process like for this book?
Well, I signed a book deal with a small publisher. They're amazing out down in Austin, Texas, Linecrest, and went through a program where they helped me kind of put the book together. And it was great because they've been behind me the whole time. And
They were very excited when Cedd was, shared his initial manuscript and his philosophy. Same thing I was drawn to. By the way, I don't know if I had said it, like one of the unique things of our collaboration was, I had worked at 7 Grand and I had been inside of the Pouring with Heart, company, at one of the premier flagship spots, and Cedd was always the guy on top, and he'd come in, we'd have some drinks, we'd celebrate, we were pals, the whole thing. But, there's a dichotomy between the owner and, an employee kind of thing. And often you not for a million years think that you have the same philosophy as the guy on top or that you vibe with the same thing. Like if I was running this place, I would do it this way.
Right.
And I kind of had a conversation with him on like day 1 or day 2. And he was like, yeah, that's exactly my philosophy. Like, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to connect with people and embrace the serotonin effect. And I want bars to be a warm, friendly place. And I was like, holy shit, the guy on top has like been speaking my language the whole time. And of course, it all made sense. The domino effect, you start thinking back, and that's why it did work out. But I just thought that was just so special. Like, how many people ever work in any job where the person at the top is actually one of the misfits, and actually gets you. And it all makes sense why it works. But that was a very special moment for me when we came together in writing this book. And it was like, oh, well, I know exactly how chapter 2 should be written. What do you think about chapter 3? I love chapter 3, man. You nailed it. Let's figure out how to, get it on the page.
Right away. He loved what I'd written so far. It just needed to be, refined and better writing and a little deeper connections. So
but the philosophy
the philosophy was there.
And I think Linecrest picked up on that. They wrote him some very touching letters and said, this is the book that needs to be written. We couldn't do it ourselves. Only you can do it. But it's got to be done, right? That was very cool.
Yeah, they were really behind me, had my back, writing the book, and we got away with writing it exactly the way we wanted to write the book, which was great because a lot of publishers don't give you that freedom. There's a certain style to the writing, if you notice, like a certain rhythm.
Yes.
And initially they tried to correct that, but we hammered it and we're like, fuck, we got to stand up for the way we believe this book should, the rhythm, the way it comes out on the page. And they had our back and went with it. So that was great.
It's very cool.
That's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, because the rhythm is kind of very much like the way we talk in the industry and making strong points and using a lot of profanity and
when necessary
to make a point.
Emphatic, yeah, exactly.
Make a fucking point.
That's right.
Absolutely, make a fucking good point.
I will say there was said, gets a little fired up throughout the course, and I remember being like, on chapter 4, it was like, what is the best line here after this? Like, well, go fuck yourself. And I was like, you're right, that is the perfect line. Note, that is the 5th time you've told someone to go fuck themselves.
I love that you have both because it's so moving and you're so passionate. Like I said, it jumps off the page. And the book is called Pouring with Heart, and you say, go fuck yourself. It's the best because it's so relatable and human, and like anyone can relate to those feelings, those strong feelings of community, and you feel it when you're in a great bar like that, but also like that anger of someone that misunderstands what you're trying to do. Everyone can relate to that. So I really love that.
Well, thank you. In the book, we try and state why we're telling them to go fuck themselves, by the way. We'll still make the case. We just won't leave it there. It's like, you got to open your eyes to these are the points.
Yeah, and also to the point of that, I'm kind of joking. It's not, we're not setting records with how many times you said that in a book, um, but there is something about Cedd's philosophy and our philosophy within the company that we have each other's backs, and sometimes when you have someone's back and someone else is not treating them correctly or understanding them correctly or making them feel less than, making them doubt themselves, making them question their own like good-heartedness, sometimes you got to stick up for them, and that and you kind of hear that in the chapters. It's never, what I love about it is this: you can come at Cedd all you want, you can come at me all you want, we're fine, you know what I mean, but you come after one of his guys, you're gonna get to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I got my people's back. They're my people, and I love them, and they work their ass off for other people. They're out in a very unselfish way, and I'm just fortunate because I get to reward people for unselfishness versus people that are a bunch of backstabbers. So.
Like the career path you used to have.
Yeah. So now I get to reward people for, instead of in the financial business where people were rewarded a little bit for selfish behavior sometimes. I don't want to talk badly about those people, but specifically in our business, we get to reward people for putting their heart out for other people and being there for other people in a huge way and having people's back.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned in the introduction, you opened up 25 bars in 3 different states. This show is called No One's Okay. So I would love to know, for someone as busy as you are and for someone that writes as much and as well as you do, and both of you write very well, how do you both take care of your mental health when you're accomplishing such epic feats?
Well, we like to go to bars. If you hadn't picked up on it. We like sharing camaraderie and good times with the people we love and care about, and total strangers. Camaraderie can be epic too, and one night in a bar, but all that serotonin and love that you can pick up from just hanging with your friends and sharing great stories and being there for them.
So you get your energy from other people, from being around other people?
Camaraderie with other people, yeah.
Because I'm very much an introvert, and so I recharge being alone. And so I'm always fascinated by people that recharge by being around other people. That's
interesting because I'm an introvert too. And, I couldn't have written this book if I wasn't an introvert, I think, because you have to spend a lot of time alone thinking about this stuff. And I wrote the book initially by myself, but the energy, I think that was inspired from the interactions I had with people and amazing people I work with,
Not everybody can heal on their own. And I think sometimes we forget that other people can be like an antidote, because nothing you're going through is something that you and you alone are going through.
Right.
You don't live in a vacuum, and there's far too many people today and since the beginning of time. Every time I have a problem that I think is just overwhelming, the craziest thing happens when I share with a random person, and then they're like, oh yeah, me too, and this, and oh, have you tried, and think about this. And sometimes you don't want help or advice, and that's fine too, but there certainly is an opportunity through connection and shared experiences. And I mean, it really hacks at the problem that you have. It takes it from a 10 to something a little bit more manageable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did we answer your question?
You absolutely answered your question.
Okay.
I love that sense of community. Usually the answers I get are, maybe draw a bath and have a glass of wine and maybe listen to your favorite music, read a book, which, those are some of the things that I like to do. But I like when I hear people like, I want to be around the people that I care about, and I want to have a good exchange of energy, and then I'll feel better. And that's wonderful. And that's why sometimes we got to pick up the phone and
Yeah,
and do all
it
that.
sounds like you like to. Sometimes you're like, let's meet at the bar.
Let's meet at the bar. Let's go. I mean, how did you cope with the last few years, the pandemic years, both of you?
It was challenging. Well, it was challenging for all of us. I'm sure it was challenging for you
Absolutely.
too. And so I don't like to think just I'm the only one suffering. I think, but it was tough, definitely for the service industry in general. And I think you might have noticed in the dedicated to the people that were on the front lines trying to be of service to people during that tough time, masked up, and it's hard to be of service to people when you've got a mask on and you've got a lot of restrictions, and it's hard to be of service to those people. So I definitely feel for people in the service industry that were struggling and not knowing whether or not their place was going to be able to stay open or